There are no shortcuts to building wealth today. It takes time, effort, sacrifice, and diversification. But today, diversification means something different than it did in the past. You deserve a more secure way to protect and grow your wealth. At Delta Harbour, we take this to heart. Our mission is to help by inviting you to add physical gold and silver to your wealth strategy. Book a free consultation today and let us show you how to protect and grow your wealth through the ownership of physical gold and silver. Let us show you the Delta difference.
Hi, I'm Darren Long, Director at Delta Harbour Assets, and today we'd like to bring to you a presentation on registered accounts in Canada and how to get physical gold and silver into your TFSAs, RRSPs, RESPs, LIRAs, LIFs, RIFs, and any other type of registered account in Canada. Let's get this presentation started, and we want to welcome you and thank you for attending. Now, we are going to do a brief overview of who we are, of course, our brand, and a little bit about us, our partners and our partnerships and the importance of those partnerships for you, the investor, investing in precious metals and some of the fundamentals. And then we're going to talk about opening a registered account and how to get started. So let's get the ball rolling with the first step, which is a little bit about who we are. Now, the philosophy at Delta Harbour is very simple. We believe there is no exception to this rule, that every single investor should have some physical gold and silver inside their portfolio. And this, quite simply put, is what the basic idea of diversification should really be. You should, in order to be fully diversified, have something other than just paper assets. You should not just have stocks, bonds, and cash. There should be something else other than those things. And gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your portfolio. Now, in establishing this brand, Delta Harbour Assets, we put together some of the best experts we could think of that I had partnered with over the last 20 years that I've been in this business. And we formed this firm specifically with the premise that the most important thing is you, the client. You, the client. And we don't exist without you. So our philosophy extends to that helping hand, which is supportive of every client, no matter what dollar denomination they put into these markets, whether they're short, tall, small, whether they're a huge investor, accredited investor, or whether they're just starting out. We treat everyone with respect and the same way. And our Google reviews, if you go and check them out, will show that feedback easily. And so if you look at what we do, as a firm, one unique aspect of our account management is that we have what's called a concierge service. Now, it's just exactly as it sounds, except for I don't know if there's another firm in Canada that has that. Well, Delta Harbour does, and we believe in it very strongly. We use it with all our clients so that 2 brokers are on every account, and you have access to the latest information, the most up-to-date market activity and market data, and you know exactly what's happening in the gold and silver arena. Now, in addition to diversifying your portfolio by holding gold and silver in your registered account, you can also shop online. From the convenience of your home or your office, you can buy some gold and silver and have it sent right to you. We will make sure it's insured and fully traceable, and you can do that by just going to deltaharbour.com. Now, if you're looking at storing or having a large portion of gold and silver in your portfolio and you want safety and peace of mind and insurance, we also have vault storage. It's in your name, it's segregated and allocated to you, and you will be easily notified with any type of market activity and be able to make changes. You can liquidate, you can buy, you can take some product out, put some product in, make changes anytime you like, and the best of all, you can audit your product. So if you want to go to the vault and make sure it's there, you can see your product, hold and touch your product, take pictures, double check, go once a year just for fun, make it your annual visit. All of those things are an option using our vault storage. In addition to that, we also have the wholesale bullion account with our partner Precious Metals International. Some folks don't really want to know that they have a 10-ounce bar of silver or a 100-ounce bar of silver any more than they care if they have a kilo of gold or a 10-ounce bar of gold. What they want to be able to do is just know that they have exposure and own physical gold and silver. So we set this account up as a wholesale bullion account, which you, the investor, can use to buy in 1-ounce increments, store around the world, and then as an extended privilege in this account, have lower premiums because you're not identifying any one particular bar as yours. You're just buying from all the ounces we have. We audit that product. We keep verified amounts of inventory, and you as the client reserve the right anytime to take home delivery by just converting to a bar type of your choice. And then when you're ready, if you're ready, you're never obligated in this account, you can then pay the additional bar premiums associated with the type of bar coin you wish to take home. And then and only then will you be able to worry about those things or to take it home because you need it at home. In addition to that, one of the best features of that wholesale bullion account is the fact that your bullion, all of your gold and silver, can be used as collateral to access our collateral financing facilities. That means you can borrow against the value of your gold and silver to buy more similar or different types of bullion, or you can even take the principal out of your account and let the rest work for you while you're at sleep, or whether you're looking at your other portfolios, it'll be at work for you during the day. And that is another beautiful option with the wholesale bullion account. Now, our partners. It's important to note that we work with Questrade in the registered accounts. I started that back in 2015. I was the first one. I put in the first account, and since then it's been hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of clients, and ultimately that partnership is one which we value very highly. Questrade is a great company. They have in the past been one of 50, named one of Canada's 50 best managed companies. They're good at what they do. They're a private institution, but they remain regulated, as does the storage facilities. So that's important to note out. Your product is always insured and in a registered account. Many people ask, but yes, gold and silver must stay in the vault. Otherwise, the government has no way to know that you still have it under your ownership. So yes, any bullion that's being stored in a registered account of any type must stay in the vault. And again, with respect to our vaulting partners, IDS and Brinks, they're both very good. And your metals are fully insured one-to-one and guaranteed against theft or vandalism or acts of Mother Nature or any worries that might pop up. And then with the wholesale bullion account, as we mentioned, Precious Metals International is our partner on those accounts, and they're great. We've been working with them since 2004. Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't review some simple things about the precious metals market before you get engaged and open up that registered account, especially for those that are new to this. You might be wondering, why silver and gold? Well, let's just delve into a few of the fundamentals of the market, talk about the track record of both gold and silver, a little bit about why physical versus paper. Then let's show you a little bit about how we come to an end price on a bar when you're buying a bar, and then look at the eligible types of gold and silver that are available for your registered account. Now, in the last 100 years, believe it or not, there has been 4 major bull markets in gold and silver. The last one was in the 1970s, in which we are seeing some of the very same things that happened back then coming full circle, history repeating itself and happening again now. Now, during those last 4 bull markets over 100 years, 4 major fundamentals have been at play in the gold and silver market. One is currency devaluation. What's happening with currency? Well, the US dollar is still the reserve currency, but because of the amount of printing that we have undergone, the value of all of the currencies that are being printed are starting to fall. And of course, cheaper money means that you can make certain investments, and it's also advantageous for paying off debts. So there is a lot of competitive currency devaluation by countries around the world, and you know as a Canadian that the value of your dollar has dropped dramatically. Well, currency devaluation is one of the reasons we hold gold and silver, because they have a tendency, historically speaking, to protect purchasing power, meaning what you could buy for $1 100 years ago, using the value of silver or gold and what $1 bought back then, that gold and silver will still maintain its purchasing power today. You need an example? No problem. For those of you that are or have been around long enough, think back to the late 60s when we still had coinage that was made with silver. And in fact, our dimes were made with 80% silver. And that meant that if you went up to buy a gallon of gas on the old measurement system, you'd be delving out 4 of those dimes. 4 dimes for a gallon of gas. And I want you to remember that. 4 dimes with 80% silver in them, which nobody cared about back then, would buy you 1 gallon of gas Fast forward to 2023, and as quickly as you can, what will 4 dimes buy you today? Therein lies the loss of purchasing power and what currency devaluation does to the value of your money over a long period of time. And quite frankly, unfortunately, in the last 20 to 30 years, wages have not kept up with the amount of devaluation in your paper dollars. So you need to take on more jobs, more careers, better jobs. You have to look for multiple opportunities. Many people work 2 jobs. And right now in Canada, we're experiencing an unprecedented time in which people's dollars are just not going as far as they used to. And we're going to be feeling the outcomes of not being able to be in a position where our wages have increases by feeling the effects of recession. Now, with those 4 dimes from 1960s, what can you buy? Nothing. You can buy a piece of candy if you're lucky. You can't put it in a payphone anymore. If you can find a payphone, you're lucky. But ultimately, there's not much you can buy with those 4 dimes. But if you take the silver out of those 4 dimes, you fast forward to 2023, back in the 60s, those 4 dimes bought you 1 gallon of gas. Guess what the silver still buys this day and age? And then some. It still buys you the gallon of gas. It means that over every type of boom-bust period, from the late 70s to the inflationary period of the 80s to double-digit mortgage rates and crazy savings rates in the double digits, to the dot-com era of the 90s, to the NASDAQ bust, to 9/11 and the threats of domestic terrorism, to the 2008-9 financial crisis, all of these things, silver has maintained purchasing power, as have gold, during the entirety of that period of time. And that means that in 10, 20, 50, 100, even 1,000 years from now, it will do the same as it has always done throughout all of history. And that is another reason why we love gold and silver. It maintains purchasing power. Now, all that money printing, and again, in our country alone, let's just take a look at Trudeau's administration. We've unfortunately printed more in the 8 years or 9 years that Trudeau's been in power than all other prime ministers combined prior to Trudeau. And that is a scary thought. It's a really scary thought for me. I get really worked up about it, and unfortunately it's what drives me to be so passionate about the ownership of gold and silver, because long term we are going to pay for printing that money. It devaluates our currency, and we are experiencing the threats of inflation, which are here to stay. We're not going back to 2% interest rates, or less than that, and mortgage rates are not going back to below sub 2%. It's just not happening, not in our lifetime. It's going to take 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years before that happens again. And inflation is one of the reasons why gold and silver have expanded in value faster than any other periods. During the 70s, we experienced the threat of inflation and inflation itself. And what happened? Gold and silver moved up to their all-time highs, hitting a high of $52 an ounce for silver in January of 1980, and gold hitting $850 an ounce in 1980. Now, in addition to currency devaluation and all that money printing, and then the outcome of that, which is inflation, and the loss of purchasing power, the silent killer of your purchasing power, we also have geopolitical risks. Before 2000, before 9/11, we didn't have really any domestic terrorism threats in North America. They were just basically non-existent. But now in this day and age, post 9/11, we do. And we buy, not our country, but the U.S. and other countries around it, and most G nations around the world, as central banks do, and quite often have been doing, they buy gold to protect their foreign reserves, to protect their investments. And in fact, central banks around the world have been net buyers of gold since 2009. And this is very odd because we're in a country that doesn't value gold. We have some of the biggest stores of gold and the ground known to exist in the entirety of our globe, yet we don't own any gold. I don't know why. I have no understanding of why our governments don't value gold, but everyone in the G20 has gold except for us. We're ranked around 99 out of 100 central banks around the world in terms of the amount of gold we own, and people regionally, even when there's hotspots, geopolitical hotspots, war, sanctions, regionally, they buy gold as a way to protect themselves and use as collateral in the event that there is any breakdown in the global economy. And so ultimately, that's another reason why gold and silver have blown up in value and gone much higher in price. In addition to that, the last very important fundamental is supply and demand. And if we look no further than gold and silver, in January of 1980, above ground supplies of gold were in the billions. Not as much as we have now. It was around, give or take, about 2 to 3 billion ounces of gold. And ultimately, if we fast forward to 2023, most gold has stayed above ground. It doesn't get used, and it has no need to be recycled because it's not really in any mainstream technologies that get utilized on a high volume basis. It's primarily in medical applications. It's primarily in coin applications and bar applications, and it's primarily found in war-related assets. And so ultimately, we don't see a lot of gold except for high-end, electronics and things of that nature. But in silver, we've experienced a renaissance of sorts. Back in the 1970s, really, silver was just used in photography. There were some really, really small applications. It was used in bearings, and it was used in a couple of other things, but we didn't have solar technology. We didn't have real mass water purification options. We didn't have the need for batteries that had silver in it. We didn't have this huge boom in industry. And between 1980 and now, silver certainly has become the mainstay component, one of them, used in all electronics. So every cell phone that you ever had, and think how many cell phones we have that we don't recycle the silver out of. If you're like me, I put all my cell phones in a basket, my family's cell phones in a basket. I let them die. I never touch them again. I don't want anybody having them, using them, or seeing what was on that phone for any reason. It's my personal information, and you have tons of data on that phone. So I keep them in a basket. I move on to the next one. And those phones don't get recycled. So think of the billions of phones per year, every one of which has silver in it. May only be a small amount, but when you factor in where the world is going, where its population is going, the demand, industrial demand for silver is only going to get more and more and more and more. And what we know is through the equilibrium of economy, we are going to see silver prices astronomically higher within the next 10 years. That demand has basically withered down to stockpiles to nothing. And so most of the major mints around the world that have coinage programs have to delve into the open market in order to supply their silver. So we don't see recycled silver anymore happening like we used to when we first started 20 years ago. I don't see the same type of bars being used. And if you look at Delta Harbour assets, when it comes down to supply and demand, when we started 20 years ago, we used to be able to see pretty much one buyer, one seller for every 2 or 3 buyers. You have somebody come in, want to buy 100 ounces, and a couple days later, somebody want to come in and sell a couple 100 ounces. And when we fast forward to 2023, there are about 1,000 buyers to every seller. We have no flow-through product. It doesn't exist anymore. And that should tell you in and of itself that the demand, albeit it's only touching about 2% of the investing public, 3% of the investing public, the demand has jumped dramatically since I started in this industry 20 years ago. So ultimately, there is only about, in silver, around 1 billion or so ounces that are available to the public right now, and it's going to be less and less. And any one entity could come along. Bill Gates could come along, a Warren Buffett could come along, any number of wealthy Elon Musks or any of them around the world could come along and decide to buy up a huge portion of the silver. And if they did that, it wouldn't be available to the public and the price would go astronomically high. Any one of those single events could trigger a price jump that would bring us to triple digits or higher overnight. And it wouldn't surprise me. 20 years in this marketplace, I'd just be looking at my investments and what I put into my own accounts and what I've invested in gold and silver, and I'd be laughing all the way to the bank. So that is something that we're paying attention to. Those are the fundamentals. And again, if you look at the money supply, I mentioned what happened here in Canada with Trudeau amassing a massive amount of debt over the last 8 years. It's incredible to see in the U.S. also what's happened. It took around 100 plus years, more than 100 years, 150 years or so, up to Obama to print and have in circulation around $800 billion in U.S. greenbacks. And that changed when Obama came to power, and we went through 08 and 09 with all of the different quantitative easing that we went through and money printing that we went through and bond buying programs that we went through. There was an astronomical amount of money being printed, and the printing presses got turned on around the world, and every single major G20 country got smart, and they said, well, if the U.S. is doing it, we're going to do it too. And the U.S. in and of itself took its money supply, which took, as I said, 150 years to amass up to $800 billion. And from Obama through Obama and then on through Trump and Biden, it has now gone from $800 billion over that time up to about almost $3 trillion. And so ultimately, right now as we speak, there's just no amount of gold or anything that could back that currency and give it or maintain value over the long term. They've put us into an experiment, the likes of which we've never experienced, and we are going to be the guinea pigs in that experience for some time to come. And what the outcome is will depend on how you define and change your wealth strategy. If it's all paper, then I think sometimes ahead there's going to be a very difficult challenge that you're going to face, in which you're going to lose value on paper. And even though you have those assets and they've been good to you, they're going to drop to nothing, and you're going to lose gobs of value of money. And 2008-9 was just a precursor. That was just a taste of what this will feel like. And we know back then that a lot of Canadians lost 50% or more of their total wealth in the span of just a few months. So ultimately, we're watching this, and you can see the amount of greedy money printing that's happening, which causes currency depreciation, inflation, and all kinds of a slew of problems. So investing in gold and silver is smart based on that alone. Now, if you want to look at its track record, please do. In the 20 years since I've been here, you can see at the bottom of the chart that gold has expanded almost 400%, while silver has expanded almost 315%. Silver is at less than half its all-time value. It's 60% less than its all-time value. Its all-time high in January of 1980 was $52 an ounce. Gold was back in 1980 rising to $850 an ounce, and now sits near $2,000 an ounce. And it's been over $2,000. It's recently hit its all-time high, and I think that's a starting point for the next jump in this big mega bull market that we're seeing. And so ultimately, you can see that track record, and you can see that it's been doing very well and producing good returns. And if you average those last 20 years out over a year-by-year basis, you're getting very decent returns on your money. So ultimately, that's what we're looking at. That's what we're concerned with. And in silver, as I said, you have what I believe to be the world's number one undervalued asset option right there. Now, the question always comes up, why physical? A lot of people will say, well, I can get exposure to metals by being in paper. No, you can't. You'll never own the physical bar if you own a mining stock. You'll never be able to own any physical gold, and you lose the value of that. So yes, you pay a little more for a physical bar, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what do you get by having a physical bar? Well, number one, you get no third-party counter risk. No accountant's going to wake up and embezzle $50,000 out of the company, and then all of a sudden the value of the company going to zero impacts you as an investor, even though the company's a good company. That doesn't happen with gold. You can't print gold, right? You can't be divided like a currency. Money you can print. Stock options you can print. You can double down and split the stock value and have two different stocks. All kinds of crazy things you can do to manipulate the value of a stock. There is no third-party counter risk in gold, right? You don't need an exchange or a bank to trade it. We do it. All kinds of firms around the world like ours do it, which means it's liquid. You can take a piece of gold anywhere in the world, a hallmark refined 1 ounce RCM gold bar as an example, and convert it to a local currency anywhere in the world. And, can you do that with an Apple stock? No. Can you do that with a Microsoft stock? No. Can you take a Canadian dollar and make sure that it'll get exchanged into a local currency anywhere in the world? Nope, you can't. But gold you can. Every single major country in the world will accept gold, and there'll be somewhere there you can convert it into the local currency. Now, that leads us to the next point, which is that it's tangible. Gold is the most tangible item in terms of wealth assets in the world, gold and silver. It has that dual functionality, and it means that you can use it to barter. You can use it as collateral in our wholesale bullion account, as an example, or as collateral outside of your investments to put up against, a new home or some other venture you might want to take when you have and own gold and silver, and you can barter with it. If, God forbid, the world changed tomorrow to the point that a new currency system came aboard, maybe you'd have to use that 1 ounce of gold or that 100 ounces of silver to barter for something that you need to live on. In addition to that, unlike paper, it doesn't have any management fees. We don't have any ongoing management fees. There's nothing. You're getting value for anything that you're putting into the cost of ownership. And then lastly, unlike paper gold, a mutual fund or a mining stock that has the risk to go to zero very easily, physical gold does not really have the risk of going to zero. Can anything go to zero? Sure. But 5,000 years of history tell us that that's not going to happen. And that's another reason why physical versus paper is another great option. Ultimately, history shows us that will always have value. Now, understanding the cost of buying bullion, it's important to break down the cost of a bar. It's not enough that you look at a bar and say, hey, I can buy it here for 2 pennies cheaper or there for 2 pennies cheaper. You want to know what it breaks down and how it breaks down and who makes what. Well, the people who make the bar, in this case the Royal Canadian Mint, they have a fabrication cost, something that's related to a cost to make that bar, to pay the person who takes that molten metal and forms it into a bar and then finalizes it and fabricates it into the finished product you see. There's a profit margin. Once they do that, there's going to be another bit of money that gets put into the cost that gets passed on to us, which gets passed on to the client. There's a dealer premium. I have to put food on my table and bread on my table. In order to do that, I have to charge a premium as well. And this market in bullion is a very competitive market, as most buyers know. You can go from dealer to dealer and check out other pricing, but ultimately it is a very competitive market. You get the total per ounce once you factor those two things in, and then the 100-ounce bar just means you're multiplying the cost per ounce by 100 times, and you get the final price. Then you convert it to Canadian dollars, and lo and behold, $3,652.12 on a $23 spot is what you'd pay on that day for that 100-ounce bar. Can that fluctuate? It sure can. Dealer premiums can go up and down depending on sales and things of that nature, but that's part of being on the inside with a firm like Delta Harbour Assets that's able to give you that certainty and expertise to show you and walk you through the market. Not only can we recommend the better bar, we can also recommend the more cost-effective bar or option that might be presented to you that other firms just won't take the time to do because they want to make the largest margin possible. Now, those are some of the products that you can put into your gold and silver accounts, your registered gold and silver accounts with Delta and Questrade, and you'll see there's a variance of different coins and bars. You can ask for our expertise on any one product, and you can let us know by way of size of investment, and we'll give you some feedback on what we think you should own and how divisible that is and what the cost will be. We always break that down for you. Now, again, with registered accounts, our partners come into play. The industry is regulated by the Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada, or IROC, as it's called and referred to. The vaults are audited on a regular basis. We do have regular audit here at Delta, and we give the clients the ability to audit their product to make sure what they bought is always there in the vault, in their name, segregated and allocated to them. So you're getting tons of fail-safes, and the product is fully insured 1-to-1. There is no limitation on that insurance. Now, if you're going to open up a registered account, you should know what types there are. That list gives us the full type. Everything from your traditional tax-free savings accounts where you'll get rid of and do away with your capital gains to your retirement savings plans, the RRSPs, spousals, locked-in types of retirements, LIRAs, RIFs, LIFs, RESPs, FRESPs, and, of course, the new first home savings account, the FHSA account. All of those qualify, and all of those can be used to hold physical gold and silver. Now, when you break down how this all works, it's very simple. At some point, you're going to get a link or go to Questrade or through a consultation with us. We're going to send you over there. You're going to open up an account. You'll choose the type of account based on what your needs are, a TFSA versus an RRSP, and so on and so forth. And you'll be given or fashioned a dealer authorization form, which you fill out with the account number. and you sign, that connects us to you and your Questrade account in order to facilitate adding physical gold and silver. And that means that Questrade will know you've okayed our partnership and that we're working together, and that we'll be able to fundamentally help you to make changes. These accounts are all self-directed, so we can't do anything without your permission, but that dealer authorization form connects you to us and Questrade. And then secondly, you will fund your account. Once the account is open, we've got the dealer authorization form. You can put money into your account. Now, here's the exciting part about these registered accounts. You can fund the account using your existing account. I know many of you are thinking, how do I get money there? How do I fund this? Well, you can use your existing RSP, so you may not be out of pocket whatsoever. That means if you've got, 20 or 30,000 parked with another institution and you're not happy and you don't like it and you'd rather own gold and silver or a combination of gold, silver, and some other asset, bring it on over. You can do that. We can show you how to do that and stay under the umbrella of the registered account. No tax implications, no worries about withholding tax or anything of that nature. It stays underneath the registered account umbrella, and it's easy for you as a client to do. And you can fund your account using new funds also, just as simple as adding Questrade as a payee on your online bill payment options or sending in a check or like that. And then once your account is funded, we can make a purchase. Now, to do that, opening up an account might look as easy as going to Questrade on the left side of your screen there, or to book a consultation on the right side of the screen. Very easy to do and takes only about 20-30 minutes to open up an account. Now, with respect to dealer authorization forms, the form itself, you can click during this presentation below. Maybe perhaps the link will be there, or an email that we were sent was sent to you. And then you can email your dealer authorization form back to your broker or sales@deltaharbor.com, and it'll be sent into Questrade to be used. And that's how we connect those two accounts. Now, funding your account, you can deposit new funds into your registered account or transfer assets from an existing registered account anywhere there, and the instructions are right there. And as always, Delta Harbor is there every single step of the way. We'll be walking you through it, whether it takes a few minutes or whether it takes a day or two. It doesn't make a difference to us. We'll make sure you're there. And once you've done all that, you're going to make your purchase, and that's really it. And then buying the product, once you've decided what you want to buy, we'll tell you what the price is. You'll make that purchase, and then we'll park that product in your account. You'll get an inventory report once it's landed, and you'll see that reflected on your dashboard. When you log into your Questrade account, you'll see all of your assets right there, gold and silver, and then if you want other stocks and things of that with your gold and silver, that'll all be in there as well. You can continue to do those things. And then when it comes to selling, you just give us a phone call when you're ready to sell, and we will sell the amount that you instruct us to sell, and it'll be reflected in your account, the funds back in your account by end of day. Now, that dealer authorization form is going to show you these, but we want to be as transparent as possible. It's very important for us to let you know that we value this partnership to the extent that you should know exactly what the costs involved in owning precious metals are. And to that end, we like to break it down. You can look at this page here. Storage is there. You can look at the storage cost. You can look at the rough cost per 10,000 to store, and what it involves and what its value is. All those things are there, and we can discuss them anytime you want. The $2 bar charge is optional, whether you want it or not, or you can just set up an appointment in time to go see your bullion, take some pictures, and write down your all of your registered serial numbers there and then. Now, to the next steps. You've taken the time to listen. You've educated yourself. Now you're at the point at which you got to make a decision. So bring in the people who are the decision makers, involve the significant others in your family or in your partnership, and let them know this is a great next step, and get them educated as well. If they haven't seen this presentation, let them see it. Call us, book a consultation, ask questions, and we will walk you through and answer every question step by step. And then basically you can just book a consultation and you can get the ball rolling. Now, I want to say thank you for tuning in and listening to this, because we know that your time is very valuable. And if you have any follow-up questions, please get in contact with us by calling 1-877-323-4653. That's 1-877-323-GOLD. or giving us an email at sales@deltaharbor.com. The website's always open for you 24/7, and we're excited to get the ball rolling. We're passionate, and we know that you'll be very happy once you've made the commitment to go ahead and open up a registered account with Delta Harbor and Questrade and put some good physical gold and silver into that account. Thanks very much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.